That's an acceptance. So it's a declaration of war that you accept. So in order to sell you in so that they could steal all your land from you, your house from you, this is why even if a bank commits fraud, you prove the fraud in court, you tie it up in court for 10 years, eventually you're still going to lose your dang house. Because you didn't own it in the first place. They just didn't want to tell you that. And the longer you tie it up in court, the more bonds they make. You're just a money machine for them. Just a big old ATM. That's all they see sitting there fighting. They just see an ATM machine over there in the court. Might have blonde hair, it might have brunette hair, it might have black hair, it doesn't matter. It might be bald. But it's just a big old ATM machine sitting there for them. Because that's how they get paid. And I'm going to teach you by the end of the weekend how they get paid on the civil side and how they get paid on the criminal side. And believe me, I know, because I'm probably the only one that took it into federal court in the 9th District and proved it. Warranty. A declaration of war that you accept. And they started with your toaster. Get the warranty on that toaster in case it breaks down. Get the warranty on that bicycle. Get the warranty on that TV set. Warranty worked good on your microwave and on your refrigerator. No, they never do. It's an expensive insurance policy, right? But they talked you into it over time to sell you, to indoctrinate you to see that warranty. And then when you go to the car dealership and you buy your very first brand new car, you don't want that to break down, so you better get that warranty. Well, and then when you go to buy your first house, and you go into that escrow, and she signs your big old stack of mortgage papers, and the escrow officer sets that aside, and she says, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, how would you like to hold title? It's your first dang house, how do you know? And you look at her all bewildered, that escrow officer all bewildered, and you say, I don't know, what are our options after you've stared it back and forth at each other for a while? And she's noticed to sit there patiently. At this point, she's trained for this. It's in her policy manual. It's in her training classes. I used to own 20% of the time. And then what happens? I don't know, what are our options? Well, most husbands and wives hold title and joint tenants in common under a warranty deed. And what do they hear? Joint? First word. Joint? They hear that? Okay, husband and wife, yeah, we're joint, we're one. They don't even hear the word tenant or think what that means. Renter? Common means state. Joint renter to the state. That's what it means. But they don't hear that. They hear the first word, joint. Okay, yeah. If that's what most husbands and wives do, I guess we'll do that. Well, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Be on your way. Have a nice day. I'm glad you're a proud new homeowner. I'll prepare that deed for you as soon as possible. We'll get it recorded. You'll get it developed. And she prepares through the legal officer of the title company your warranty deed and then records that. Now, a declaration of war that you accept, you went to war with the state, you accepted it, it's okay, you consented, the government operates to the consent of the governed. It's not their job to teach you the law or what words mean. You should have learned English in grade school. They don't teach you what words mean. None of us were taught English. Not the way you, but I grew up on a farm. I talked to animals when I was little. We didn't learn. It's not our fault. Where's the full and honest disclosure of the terms and conditions of the contract? Who explained it? Was there an attorney in the room? Well, I guarantee you an attorney wrote the darn contract. Where was he? To explain to you the terms and conditions. Let's run back to the story of the mother for a minute. This is the most important story. You know who I was told that from? Kings and queens and presidents at The Hague. I got the opportunity to speak at The Hague and tell the story of the mother. That's all the time I had. And I was told afterwards that this is the most important story that every man, woman, and child on the face of the planet could ever learn. And then I was told, but we don't want you to tell. See, between 1905 and 1935, we had to pass several acts of Congress to create this whole Federal Reserve System, this whole banking system, this whole fiat system that stole all of our grandfather's gold and silver under the threat of a $10,000 fine. You know what $10,000 was in 1935? It was three bedroom, 2-bath houses. Who could afford that? You could only keep a certain amount of silver. They took all your real money away from you. What is real money? It's a keystroke. This is real money. It's defined in law as 31 point blah, blah, blah grains of silver. What is this? It's a note. It's fiat currency. You've probably got a bunch of them in your wallet. Right? On every one of them you got in your wallet, it says note. There's a $1 bill that says Federal Reserve note. There's a $10 bill that says right at the top, Federal Reserve note. Sorry, I only got, oh, there's a 20. It says Federal Reserve note. There's a 50, it says Federal Reserve note. I'm glad you loaned me 100 because I don't have one. It says Federal Reserve note. Well, in Title 26 of the United States Code, which is the IRS code, it defines what a note is. It defines it as a debt instrument. And then a debt instrument can only discharge debt, it can't pay it off. You get paid in debt instruments. By the sweat of your brow. They just hand you more debt. A little grade school lesson for you. Numbers, positive and negative, from 0. 0 is at the center. This is debit side of the paper. This is the credit side of the paper. Debts and credits. That, and I'm going to put a quarter first, a quarter that is not made out of silver is fiat currency. We lost all of our silver coinage in 1964. the end of 64. Quarter, today, is now on the negative side of the scale. Then there's a $1 bill. Why does it only have one line? Because it's a debt note. I'm just going to skip the 5s and go to 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. Now let's go to a million. Doesn't matter if you have a million of those things. They're on the negative side of the scale. One piece of 0.95 silver. I don't care if it's a quarter or $1 or $10 or $100 or $1 million. One pre-1965, so 64 or older, silver quarter is worth more money than all the debt notes you have in your bank account. And in the United States Code codified, HJR 192, an act of Congress where they only remove one paragraph, so don't let no judge tell you that it's gone away. Use the code in the United States Code. One silver quarter pays off a $430,000 mortgage. One silver quarter. Now, I think that's a little cheap. I'd go with one silver dollar, but you know, it's just because I feel guilty about it. But wait a minute, let's continue to talk about this subject for just a second. How'd they create that mortgage? Let's analyze banking law for just a minute. It is illegal for a bank to take money out of the shareholders' accounts. Those are the shareholders or people that own the bank. It is illegal for a bank to take money out of the customers' accounts, because all accounts are trust accounts. Oh, when somebody's got a fiduciary responsibility for the benefit of a beneficiary, it's all held in trust. So don't let them tell you that your account at the bank is not a trust account. It is. It is illegal for them to take money out of the customers' accounts. It's illegal for them to take money out of the shareholders' accounts, the owner of the bank. So there's nobody left. Where'd they get the money? To loan you $430,000 to buy your first house. Your signature created it. Modern Money Mechanics, a book written by the Federal Reserve, tells you how money works in this country. It's hard to read, I know. But your signature created the money that paid off your house. Paid off your house. Right after the 72-hour right of rescission was up, you had 72 hours to get out of it. But then they paid it off with your money. Why is it your money? Because you already have that money in trust. It's called the Cesta Q Bi account. What does Cesta Q Bi mean in Latin? This killed that life. How was it created? With the story of a mother. A mother, 9 months pregnant, walks into a foundling hospital. Legal definition of the word foundling, and this was created by an act of Congress called the Child Act, where all hospitals, police stations, fire stations, and churches, no, it is not lunchtime.
Well, it gets to 1:45.
Okay, hold on.
I hear their tummies growling. I hear it. I just wanted to let you know, it's really hard to focus when your tummy's hurting.
Okay, as soon as I'm done with this, you can go. All right. Bear
How
with
long
me.
of a lunch
So-
break are we gonna get? An
You
hour,
want me to go faster?
hour and a half? Hour and a half lunch?
Yes, we'll do an hour and a half lunch as soon as I'm done. Okay. Now I'm under pressure. Mother 9 months pregnant walks into a family hospital. Took an act of Congress to create the family hospital and police stations, fire stations. You can walk in with a baby. You can set it down in the middle of the floor. You can smile away and walk out with absolutely no consequences to yourself whatsoever. It's a safe place to abandon a child. That's what the definition of foundling means.